So what I've got here is the At Ease interface. This is what you would see when your computer boots into At Ease, assuming you do have it enabled. This sort of software, it's kind of meant for limiting access to what's available on the computer. It's the kind of thing you would most likely see in a school or perhaps like a library or something like that, where you didn't want users to be able to just open anything on the computer. So the main At Ease screen that you see here, it includes a set of applications which are allowed for the user, and you also have a tab which gives you access to that user's documents. So, just for reference, what I'm going to do is show you the computer this is. This is version 7.5.3 of the Apple system software, so it just says Macintosh as opposed to the actual model, which version 7.1 would have given you. But this is a Macintosh LC 475. And it's a machine I chose specifically to kind of replicate an educational environment, which is why I've got At Ease on there. Normally, a real computer user would not be running the At Ease software at all, because why would you want to limit your what you can do on your computer, especially when you're using a Mac, which I guess is kind of limiting just by nature. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm running the At Ease software version 3.0.3. Now, the user that I've created for myself, I've called it NetFreak. I've given it kind of like full permissions, so I do have some menu options that you would not find on like a guest level user. I do have the option of going to the Finder. I do have the option of going into the setup area. Let's see what else I've got here. I can do work with floppies. That might not be available in some users. And I also do have full access to the control panel and whatnot. This might not be available depending on your level of access. So what I'm going to do first is just demonstrate kind of how the interface would work for an average user. So you come into your computer lab, you sit down, here's what you've got available for your programs. Let's say you want to start the day off with some web browsing. All right, let's open Netscape Navigator. And then because it is a 25 megahertz Mac, you will sit and wait for the web browser to load, which does take forever. Perfect. And say you want to browse the web. Well, unfortunately, because it's 2018, you can't really browse the web anymore with Netscape Navigator 3. However, there's a few sites still running which will load in your browser, albeit very slowly. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. So, cool, yeah, there's your sweet website. And once you're done web browsing, you exit your program. And it drops you right back into the At Ease interface. Let's say, for example, you wanted to open up a recent document. When you go to the tab over here for your user, this is the same name as a directory on the Mac file system, which is in like a documents folder. This subdirectory with your username is where the default location would be for any documents that you save. So anything that you've got that you worked on for any of these applications, if you've really cut down access and only allowed access to this directory for documents, this is where all of the documents would be. My particular user here can open and save to anywhere on the hard drive, but I have put one file here just to demonstrate this. So if you find the document you want to open, a single click will load up the application it's associated with. And what we have here is a drawing that I made in ClarisWorks. So we can take out, let's see, it's this ClarisWorks version 4. And yeah, it's Paul's old crap. So this is a document that I made and saved. So for example, if you went into here and went to the Open menu, by default, it would take us into the NetFreak folder, which is inside Documents, which is inside the root Macintosh hard drive. But my user is able to go into any of these folders, so I'm not limited to where I can save stuff. And let's go back to at ease. Now, I think we'll take a look at how you actually make users and stuff like that. Actually, first of all, I don't think I actually demonstrated this. It's just the About screen for at ease 3. For some reason, the coloring on this is, I don't know, this is kind of bizarre color choice, but, you know, that's just my opinion. Anyway. So because I am using like an administrator level user, I do have the options of going into the Finder and the at ease setup. So I think first of all, let's just go into the at ease setup. Welcome to at ease version 3. Nice. Okay, so it gives us the root option here of if at ease will start with the computer or not. This is fairly important because if you turn it off, then you will not have at ease going when you boot your computer. It will boot directly to Finder. And right now, I actually just have one configured user, which is NetFreak. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to create a new user, and we're going to give it essentially no permissions, or, well, very few permissions compared to this user. We're going to call this user derp with the password of derp. Let's see. So with each individual user, I guess you can actually determine where they will end up when they log in. So you can say this user has to go into the at ease panels, or they can go to a restricted Finder, which I think just blocks off anything this user is not supposed to access. And then you also have the regular Finder. So we're going to just basically start with at ease panels. And this is where you add applications that they're allowed to use. And it's got to wait for it to generate a list of applications. All right, let's say... I don't really have a whole lot on this hard drive. Let's just pick. I only want this user to be able to use Microsoft Works. So we'll click OK. Now, types of menus. Minimal would give us almost nothing. Restricted would still let me pick like chooser for choosing a printer and whatnot. I don't want all. I want to be very limited. Let's do the absolute minimal. And this is where we determine where we want to be able to open and save documents. So my other user is set to anywhere. This user, I want to be able to only do in the user's folder. And I don't really want to have these enabled, screen captures or being able to go into the Finder. So there I have my other user. Let's see what else we have here. So we could do bulk item ads. That would be useful if you had a lot of users. What do we have here? Oh, you can do settings specifically on the applications. So globally, if I wanted ClarisWorks to be able to, let's see, allow application to set open and save location. I'm not entirely sure what that would mean. I guess that's, well, I don't know. Bizarre. I'd have to read the manual, I think. Oh, we have, I see. You can lock out the CD-ROM drive based on your user account. So if I really wanted to... Oh. Okay. Never mind. It's based on what actual CD is in the drive, not by the users, apparently. Although if I did have a CD in the drive, I might be able to look at the settings. Unfortunately, this computer does not have a CD-ROM drive, so... Well, anyway, let's just cancel out of this anyway. Attach sounds. Oh, ooh, interesting. I can change the sounds for each of the buttons that are in at ease. So if you wanted to do a custom button or a custom sound in the button. No, I don't think I have any sounds on hand. Oh well. So I guess if you wanted to make, I don't know, just record something or whatever, and it'll play every time you hit the application button, I suppose. I don't know why you'd want to, but whatever. What is it? Oh, it's the same box. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I've got my 2 users. Let's give the derp user a shot. And I'm trying to remember how I can get to the at ease login. Let's just try quitting and see what happens. Okay, so now that we do have multiple users, it does come up with the actual login screen. When I only had my NetFreak user before, every time I'd boot the computer, it would go directly into that user account because it was the only user and I didn't have a password set. So now, when you boot the computer, this is what you'd see. Welcome to at ease. And we're going to pick the user derp. And it's going to ask for the password as well. And we're in. And like previously seen, we only configured one application for this user. And in the user's documents directory, there is nothing in there. So this user is only allowed to run Microsoft Works. And looks like the only thing this user can do then is shut down or restart the computer. I don't think this user can actually go into at-ease setup, but... Oh, and it's got nothing for the Apple menu here. Let's just try doing this. This is interesting. I wonder if it's because I have no password set for administrator access or anything like that. This might be it. So I think there's a password on the actual at-ease setup area. And I never set that because, you know, what would be the point? I'm the only person using this computer. So that might be why my derp user is able to launch the at-ease setup. Anyway, so yeah, this user can only open Microsoft Works, which we might as well do right now. So when the application starts up and asks us what we want to do, it grays out everything that's not in the derp folder. So without having any old documents already in my documents folder, I can't just browse the hard drive looking for other things to open. So this is where the at-ease security comes into play. So without being able to just wander around on the hard drive, my only option would be to, like, I don't know, make a new document, for example. And yeah, the only option here would be new. And interestingly enough, this copy of Microsoft Works came from a school, apparently. I really have no idea how I got it, so yeah. And if we went to Save As, it will only let us save in the derp folder. So it locks us out of all of the other folders on the hard drive. So, I don't know, it gives a decent amount of security. This isn't really a true multi-user environment, but it does give you the ability to log in as different users, have different directories for documents and whatnot. So let's just drop back into at ease. Now, my only options here were to shut down and restart. I can't enter the Finder with this user because that option has been disabled. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to drop back into the NetFreak user, which does have that ability. So back at the main login screen, we're going to select NetFreak, and we're going to start. So now that we've logged in as NetFreak, you'll see that I do have more menu options than before. So I do have the full Apple menu. I have access to all the control panels. And I do have this option, go to Finder. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to drop into the Finder from at ease. So we've now dropped ourselves into the Macintosh Finder. And if we take a look at the About This Macintosh, it does look a bit different than when this is viewed inside at ease. Now it tells us it's version 7.5.3, revision 2, and it doesn't mention the at ease version. And now it also tells us that at ease is running separately from the system software. As opposed to before, I think it just said that we're both running at the same time. So within the Finder, I mean, we're basically in the standard Macintosh Finder now. We can do essentially anything we want. At ease is still running in the background, so anything else we could just do normally if we were browsing the hard drive around. So if we went into Documents, we've got our users, we've got NetFreak with the super secret file. We've got derp, who has no files whatsoever. But from here, obviously, we can move documents around, copy documents, run any applications we want. Basically, I'm just a full administrative user now in the Macintosh Finder. Now, from the Finder, there's two ways to kind of get back into at ease. You can just maximize the version, I guess the at ease process that happens to be running. Now, this will leave the Finder running as well at the same time. So while this does give you access to the applications and documents from at ease, the Finder is right behind you, and you can just just switch back to it right away. If you wanted to go directly to at ease without the Finder, you can just go to File and go to at ease, I think. Okay, there we go. So it essentially kind of exits the Finder, and now we're just back to the main at ease panel here. And I don't think there's anything actually, anything else I want to go over. Yeah, I mean, the at ease software is not something that any computer hobbyist would really be running. It was just mainly to lock out access to the root computer hard drive. It's neat software. For some reason, I always kind of liked this system. But if you were a student in school and you had at ease, you probably would have hated it. But yeah, I figured I would just do a fun little video on it. I'm probably going to leave it installed on this computer because it's just an LC 475. I don't really use it for much except for demoing stuff like this. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, you can post a comment, although I probably won't be able to answer them. I'm not really familiar with this software at all. This is probably one of the only times I've ever really done anything with at ease in depth. So, anyway, let's just see if I can shut down my computer now. There we go. Anyway, thanks for watching the video.